This is CBN NewsWatch.
Hello, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us for CBN NewsWatch for this Friday, May 15th. I'm George Thomas. At least 45 states have already eased coronavirus restrictions in some way, and 3 more are doing so today. It is a promising sign for the economy, even as many acknowledge the risks. My colleague Heather Sells starts us off.
In Wisconsin, restaurants and bars began hopping just hours after the state Supreme Court struck down the governor's stay-at-home order, effectively reopening the state. President Trump called it a win. Many in Wisconsin felt relieved.
I also think that we should all be able to decide if we want to go out or not.
If they don't feel that it's good to come out yet, more to them. But I hope they respect my feelings on I would like to come out and I would like to start getting the economy going again.
The president visited Pennsylvania Thursday to talk about preparing for future pandemics by restocking the strategic national stockpile of medical supplies and bringing manufacturing of critical supplies and equipment back to the U.S. He also made the case for Democratic Governor Tom Wolf to reopen the state.
If we have to get your governor of Pennsylvania to start opening up a little bit. You have areas of Pennsylvania that are barely affected, and they want to keep them closed.
The CDC has finally released much anticipated guidelines for reopening. It has created 6 one-page documents it calls decision tools to help places like schools, businesses, camps, child care centers, and restaurants. The CDC also originally wrote a document for churches and other religious facilities, but that wasn't posted. The agency is not saying why. States across the country are gradually opening up again, like Virginia. Today it begins its reopening plan, and it includes churches, which can hold services at 50% capacity. The governor is delaying the reopening for hotspot areas in the state, like Richmond and Northern Virginia. But in Virginia Beach, restaurants are ready for what's now allowed limited outdoor dining. And the state is letting restaurants expand their outdoor areas or request to make a new one.
Employees that I brought back in are extremely excited to come back to work and make some money, see their customers.
Although they're mindful of the risks and the possibility of more outbreaks, after weeks of isolation and restrictions, these reopenings are lifting the spirits of many Americans. Heather Sells, CBN News.
Thank you, Heather. The CDC is asking doctors nationwide, especially pediatricians, to be on the lookout for and report any cases of a strange new disease they may come across. It is a rare but serious condition affecting children that appears to be linked to COVID-19. CBN medical reporter Lori Johnson joins us now for the details. For so long, Lori, we have been talking about how this virus, this pandemic, hasn't been hitting kids. Is that changing?
Well, it might be. Yeah. And so we don't really know how much of a connection there is with this PMIS disease and the coronavirus. We know that is, for parents need to remember, this is very rare. So far, only 150 children have contracted it, 3 deaths. 18 states, most of the cases have been in New York, and most of the children have had a coronavirus or have it now, but not all. And so that's why the CDC wants doctors to report these cases, because they want to take a look at it and see how much, if at all, it is associated with coronavirus. What we're seeing in these kids is the immune system overreacts, and we're seeing this come on like about 4 to 6 weeks after a possible infection. And we know that when the immune system attacks the virus, that's a good thing, but sometimes it goes too far and ramps up too much. They call it the cytokine storm. We've seen it in adults with coronavirus, and it actually, then the immune system start attacking the body. And so things like the heart and the kidneys, blood vessels, things like that.
Okay, so tell us, what are some of the symptoms that folks should watch for?
The main thing is, and all of these symptoms are they need to persist for at least a day. So we're talking about things like fever, also irritability and sluggishness, unexplainable abdominal pain, diarrhea and vomiting, and a rash or conjunctivitis, which is pink or redness in the eye, and then enlarged lymph nodes. Lymph nodes are the little glands on the side of the neck, and then red cracked lips and a red tongue, sort of looks like a strawberry, and then swollen hands and feet, and the swollen hands and feet could also be red.
Okay. Is this contagious?
This particular PMIS is not contagious, but of course, coronavirus is contagious. And if this is coming on because of the coronavirus, then that's where the contagion lies. Yeah. And so children, of course, like all of us, are being asked to be especially vigilant with hand hygiene, washing the hands, and social distancing where possible.
Okay, real quickly, how can you get treated?
Well, unfortunately, this is a very serious disease. We see a lot of the children ending up in ICU, and they're being given IV immunoglobulins to kind of tamp down that immune response. This is a lot like Kawasaki disease or toxic shock syndrome. So the treatments for those two diseases are being used on kids with this.
Okay, terrific. Lori Johnson, as always, thank you so much for coming in. Appreciate it.
My pleasure.
On to other news. A Detroit church congregation is crying out to God to heal our land, especially after their pastor and his oldest son died from the virus. Members of New St. Luke Missionary Baptist Church mourning the death of 80-year-old Reverend Dr. Nathaniel Slappy Sr., and his son, 49-year-old Nathaniel Slappy Jr. The Detroit Free Press reported church members saying the two men were very close, and if you saw one, the other wasn't far behind. A prayer posted on the church's Facebook page reads, "Dear God, our hearts are heavy because there are so many that are sick and dying. Please bring this pandemic to an end. We need a miracle. Amen." Only immediate family members were able to attend the memorial service held for both men on Tuesday due to social distancing restrictions. However, it was streamed live on Facebook for church members and others. We move overseas to Israel, where a new cable channel in Israel is drawing a lot of controversy. It's a God TV channel in Hebrew. Some in the Orthodox Jewish community, they are very upset about their mission, but God TV says they are meeting a need. Take a listen.
There's no interference in internal affairs of any church or any congregation or any synagogue. However, the message that we got very strongly from God TV was that this broadcasting license that they recently gained was specifically to missionize, to share Jesus with the Jews of Israel. And that is a very touchy question.
It's a platform for local Messianic Jews, for Christian Arabs, and a few international Christian media outlets to be able to share with believers here in Israel, as well as the whole country, who we are as believers in Yeshua. The content is, it's roughly 70% in Hebrew, 70% from local Israelis.
Our Middle East Bureau Chief Chris Mitchell joins us now from Israel with more. Chris, what are some of the historical reasons some Jews are objecting to this channel?
Well, George, this is very significant because this channel, first of all, is in Hebrew. All the other channels right now here broadcasting in Israel are Christian channels like Middle East Television, also Daystar broadcasts here. I think from a Jewish point of view, they look back at 2,000 years of Jewish Christian history. They look back at the Inquisition, forced conversions, the Crusades, and they really feel this pressure of actually the gospel going in Hebrew very much. And that's a lot of the objections, as well as the objections as possible violating Israeli law by proselytizing minors. Shelano says they're not doing that, so that's a big part of the debate right now.
Explain to me why some of the reasons why the people at the channel feel they should be able to broadcast.
Well, I would say from a Messianic Jewish point of view here in Israel, George, they're saying they are citizens. They serve in the IDF. They pay taxes. They should have a voice, and there's freedom of expression and freedom of religion here in Israel. And so they really feel like this is not Iran, this is not Saudi Arabia, so they should be able to have a voice. And that's something that they really feel is important for them to have this expression. So that Shilano really has been the controversy here in the last several days. It's been in the news media. But from a Messianic Jewish point of view, they say this is what they should be able to express themselves on this channel.
Let's switch gears to politics. The U.S. Secretary of State Mike Pompeo was in Israel this week. What were some of his priorities, Chris?
Well, a couple of things, George. First of all, I want to talk about Pompeo's visit. He came here and he said that some of the main things they had was Iran. They wanted to continue the discussion about the threats of Iran to Israel and the whole region. They wanted to talk about, obviously, the coronavirus pandemic. But I think one of the main things that they did discuss in Pompeo's visit was China, the threat of China. Believe it or not, Israel has an agreement with China that they would control the port of Haifa for 25 years, and that's a deep concern for the U.S. Navy and for intelligence. And in terms of the government here, I wanted to address that as well. They were supposed to have a swearing in yesterday for the government. It's been postponed to Sunday, and the reason for that is there was a sort of a minor revolt within the Likud party against Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu, and he doesn't have enough ministerial seats to satisfy all the Likud members. So they had a revolt, and now they're delaying it, trying to satisfy each and every one of these Likud ministers. So they delayed it till Sunday. They really have a deadline by next Wednesday. If they don't have a government by next Wednesday, automatically they're going to a fourth election. Just one more step in this saga of the Israeli politics being in disarray for more than a year now.
Incredible. Chris Mitchell, thank you so much. Appreciate you coming on the show this Friday. By the way, you can watch Jerusalem Dateline, which Chris hosts tonight at 9:30 Eastern, right here on the CBN News Channel. Coming up, more surprises expected from what's being called the investigation of the investigators from the Trump-Russia probe.
Life is better with a good night's sleep. Get your free DVD or booklet of Protect Your Sleep as the world watches from the outside.
It's a big diplomatic tug of war here in the Middle East.
Go inside the story with Jerusalem Dateline.
Israeli archaeologists are talking about a discovery that could change the thinking about the Temple Mount.
Join CBN Jerusalem Bureau Chief Chris Mitchell and get the biblical perspective on the events shaping the world.
What starts in Israel then ends up going to other places.
Watch Jerusalem Dateline Friday night at 9:30 on the CBN News Channel.
Life. It's meant to be lived fully. Jesus said it. I came to give you life. Life to the fullest. Life in your family. Life in your finances. Life in your body, mind, and spirit. Life in your everyday. At CBN.com, we're taking what Jesus said seriously. We're here to help you discover life. Life. Live it fully. CBN.com.
Welcome back to the CBN News Channel. There is more to come following the Justice Department dropping criminal charges against President Donald Trump's security advisor, Lieutenant General Michael Flynn. Our Mark Martin is following the story with radio news commentator Todd Starnes.
Todd, tell us what's next since the Justice Department dropped criminal charges against former Trump National Security Advisor Lieutenant General Michael Flynn.
Well, I think it's pretty clear that there are some very nervous people in the Obama administration, including the former president himself, as well as the former vice president. We now know, because of this new information that was released by the House Judiciary Committee, that there were conversations in the White House about the Trump administration and the so-called Russia collusion hoax. Now, the question is, and this is I hate to use the cliche, but when did the president know, what did the president know, and when did the president know it? That is the million-dollar question here. So the investigation is far from over. We're still waiting to hear from the Bureau investigation. That is the investigation that the Attorney General William Barr had ordered up to find out what in the world was going on. They're calling this the investigation of the investigators. And again, there are some very nervous people right now because it does appear that something very nefarious was going on, and it looks like this Attorney General is going to get to the bottom of it.
What is the greatest concern here regarding what appears to have happened with the FBI in this case?
Well, the greatest fear is that the FBI tried to sabotage the Trump campaign, and once the president was elected, tried to establish what was, in effect, a bloodless coup attempt on American soil. This is simply outrageous behavior. And I want people to understand something. If the FBI, if they were doing this to people like Donald Trump and Michael Flynn, imagine what they've been doing to regular Joes around the country. This is very disturbing behavior. And I think it's important to understand, we're not talking about every FBI agent. As a matter of fact, my sources are telling me that when all of the facts come out, it's going to be very clear that there were some very concerned people within the FBI. So we're not talking about an entire agency that's gone rogue. We're talking about a few bad actors who happen to be in charge of this organization. Now, I will tell you that Senator Josh Hawley of Missouri is now calling for a special counsel to conduct a full-fledged investigation into the Obama administration. And he wants to know about these ties to the FBI's misconduct in the investigation and the case against Michael Flynn, the former national security advisor. So look, at the end of the day, the bottom line is the American people deserve to know if President Obama tried to sabotage the Trump presidency. I mean, this is a shocking accusation, but this is what needs to be investigated. And if in fact it's true that this is what happened, then President Obama and those involved need to face prosecution. And if convicted, I believe jail time is mandatory here. We cannot abide by coups on American soil. This is the United States of America, not a banana republic.
What else is going on with the investigation outside of the FBI? You touched a little bit about Senator Hawley. Anything else going on outside the FBI?
Well, right now you have a lot of very, very angry lawmakers, and we're starting to learn some of the inside rumblings. What was really going on in these hearings, thankfully, because of Rick Grinnell, who unmasked these Obama officials who were involved in all of this. So again, we're looking at bombshell allegations coming out just about every day now. So this is all going to be, it's all fascinating. There's a lot to talk about in the media, but ultimately this is a Justice Department investigation. We have to be patient. We've got to wait for the Durham investigation. And once that investigation comes out, I believe you're going to start to see possible prosecutions. We can tell you this, our sources are telling us that they believe there was criminal wrongdoing. As far as who was doing the criminal wrongdoing, well, stay tuned.
All right, Todd Starnes, thanks for updating us on this story.
Thank you.
Still ahead, a teacher turned financial expert has advice on surviving pandemic financial struggles. That story in a moment.
On October 1st, 1961, history was made when a tiny station began transmitting the first signals of the Christian Broadcasting Network.
CBN, the Christian Broadcasting Network.
And now, a new era has begun with the all-new CBN News Channel.
Just moments ago, the Iron Dome intercepted an incoming rocket right on the Gaza border.
And ministering in this area, spiritual warfare is definitely involved.
a 24/7 news network, bringing you the news you want from a source you can trust.
In Kenya, 40% of the medical services are actually provided by these Christian hospitals.
Let's talk about the economy.
Believers here are joining together to win people to Jesus Christ.
All your favorite shows now in one place. Go to CBNNewsChannel.com to find out how to get the CBN News Channel on your TV all day, every day. CBN News. Life is better with a good night's sleep. Get your free DVD or booklet of Protect Your Sleep today.
Life. It's meant to be lived fully. Jesus said it. I came to give you life. Life to the fullest. Life in your family. Life in your finances. Life in your body, mind, and spirit. Life in your everyday. At CBN.com, we're taking what Jesus said seriously. We're here to help you discover life. Life. Live it fully. CBN.com.
You know, financial worries can be overwhelming at any time in life, but now more than ever, with jobs hard hit by COVID-19 lockdowns. Our Mark Martin is back with Danny Kofke, a teacher and budget expert, who says you can survive these tough financial times.
Danny, what are you hearing are the biggest concerns for folks navigating finances and the consequences of this pandemic?
Yeah, you know, for a lot of people right now, it's unprecedented times, and it's just kind of going without that paycheck. I'm fortunate enough, I'm a school teacher, so we haven't been affected yet pay-wise, teaching a little differently now, of course. But I think, you know, for even those people that haven't been affected yet, we don't know what the future holds. And once again, being a school teacher, right now, my pay is still the same, but there have been talks of furlough days coming up and things like that. So I think for a lot of people, it's still the unknown. We're still in the middle of this, and we don't know what the new normal is going to look like. And even if you are still having a steady paycheck coming in, we don't know what it's going to look like down the road. So I think it's just one of those that it's really tough. And you know, with finances, it's a lot of times about planning for the future. And right now, it's kind of hard to plan for the future because we're in such, you know, not normal times. So I think that's probably the biggest concern that many have is, okay, when are we going to get out of this? And then when is my paycheck going to be kind of back to normal again and I can depend on that?
You wrote the book, The Wealthy Teacher, Lessons for Prospering on a School Teacher's Salary. What are some of those lessons that are needed now more than ever for most Americans?
Yeah, I think, you know, and it's, you know, playing Monday morning quarterback a little bit, but I do stress the importance, and I always have, is having that emergency fund in place. And in my book, in The Wealthy Teacher, I kind of list steps to take. And then one of the first steps is to actually build the emergency fund up to 1 month worth of living expenses. And right now, I've kind of changed that a little bit. And I encourage people to save 3 to 6 months worth of living expenses just to be able to have that margin in place when things happen. And I know there's some people out there right now, there's no way, because they don't have any source of income coming in, maybe besides unemployment. And if you're in that type of situation, you know, what I recommend is we have to focus on the 4 basics, our food, our housing, our utilities, and then, you know, and in some cases, maybe transportation, if it is taking to a place of employment. But I know, you know, I may be talking to 2 sets of different people. There's some that still have that paycheck coming in. And if you're in that boat, then I would encourage you to build up that savings account as much as you can. If you want to stop temporarily contributing to a retirement account, I'm okay with that right now, just so you can have that margin in place. But then once again, if you are facing, you know, desperate times and maybe you've lost a paycheck and things are tough, you just have to kind of focus on what is necessary and just comb through that budget. Look at those things that you can eliminate. Maybe you have a gym membership, Netflix, Hulu. I don't know what it is, but you have to just kind of look through it and see if there's any things in life that you can eliminate right now. And then hopefully when things are back to normal, we'll bring it back in. I'm not saying it forever, but just for right now, it's something we need to do. So let's face it, a year from now, things get back to normal, I've never heard anyone say, gosh, I have too much money in my savings account, right? So I think that that's kind of an important thing for people to focus on right now.
What encouragement would you like to leave people with today as they face, for many, like you've been talking about, uncharted territory with their budgets?
You know, for me, I feel like when I watch some of the news, I feel hopeful for this country. I think for a long time, we've kind of been in a lot of programs, it's kind of like our differences and it's kind of like going against each other. Now I just see all of the goodness of our country. You know, nurses going above and beyond, grocery store employees, things like people like that I believe in the goodness of America. And I think, you know, these times are tough. And I feel for those that are going through some tough times and maybe have been hospitalized or lost some loved ones. It's horrible, but I'm hoping overall that we kind of take this and remember we are all in this together. I mean, we see celebrities at home, you know, with their kids running around just like the normal parent is trying to do and trying to teach their kids. So I think it just shows that we are in this together. And my hope is that coming out of this, that we are going to be stronger as a country. And I think we're going to care a little bit more about each other and maybe not focus on our differences so much, but focus on kind of those things that we have in common.
All right, Danny Kofke, financial author and expert. Thank you so much for your wisdom and insights, Danny.
Thank you for having me on.
Life is better with a good night's sleep. Get your free DVD or booklet of Protect Your Sleep today.
I'm Ephraim Graham, and this is Studio 5. Cruise with me as I discover the good things happening in the world of music, sports, television, and movies.
The fact that Ryan Coogler was going to be directing the film, I knew that something special was going to happen.
We'll chat with artists at the forefront of entertainment and explore the connection between popular culture and faith.
I asked my pastor, I said, well, does that mean I'm supposed to be a preacher? He says, well, no, you already have a pulpit.
Watch Studio 5 Wednesday night at 9:30.
Remember for a moment what it was like to be a child. You believed every story you were told. You saw a world full of endless possibilities. What stories will the world's orphaned and at-risk children believe? We believe the Bible tells the only story truly worth believing. We believe that every child should have the opportunity to dream, the chance to take challenges and turn them into possibilities, the chance to stand on the promises of God, to recognize their place in the greatest story ever told. They have their whole lives ahead of them. Theirs is a world of endless possibilities. They are looking for a story to believe. We will tell them that story. Will you join us?
And you're watching the CBN News Channel. There is big Christian music simulcast tonight to benefit small churches at risk of closing due to the financial fallout from COVID-19. It's been hosted by evangelist Nick Hall and his Pulse organization. It's on togethergeneration.com and starts at 8 o'clock tonight. It will fund $3,000 grants to churches that are facing closure. Performing artists and special guests include Lecrae, Lauren Daigle, Toby Mac for King and Country, Christian Kane, Benjamin Watson, and many more. You can find more about the event at cbnnews.com. Well, folks, that is it for this edition of CBN News Watch. You can find our stories anytime. You know where, cbnnews.com. From all of us here at the Christian Broadcasting Network, we wish you a fantastic day and a safe and peaceful weekend. Goodbye, and God bless.